Emma stood backstage, her hands trembling around the microphone. The curtain was still closed, and the hum of the crowd beyond the velvet drapes was like a restless ocean waiting to be calmed or stirred. Tonight wasn't supposed to be her night. She wasn't the headliner. She wasn't even the main act. She was just the filler, the small-town girl with a guitar who got 15 minutes before the real star took the stage. And yet, for her, these 15 minutes were everything. It had taken years to get here, nights playing in empty coffee shops, afternoons busking on sidewalks where people walked past without looking, and mornings when she woke up questioning if her dream was worth the struggle. Emma had nearly given up a dozen times. But every time, she remembered her mother's voice, "Sing like the world needs your song. Someone out there does." And so, here she was. Her throat felt dry, her knees weak. She whispered a prayer, not for fame, not for applause, but for courage. Just enough courage to walk out there and share what was in her heart. The curtain lifted. The lights blinded her at first, but then she saw them, rows upon rows of strangers. Hundreds of faces, glowing faintly under the stage lights. Some were distracted, checking their phones, talking to each other. They weren't here for her. But Emma had promised herself she'd sing as if each soul in the audience mattered. She strummed the first chord. Her voice quivered at first, small and unsure, but then it steadied as the song unfolded. It was one she had written late one night when she felt like the world was falling apart, a song about loss, healing, and hope. The lyrics carried pieces of her story, a father she barely knew, a mother who worked 3 jobs, and the loneliness that had often been her only companion. At first, the audience didn't react. They clapped politely between verses, some half listening. Emma fought back the sinking feeling that she was invisible again, just background noise. But then something happened. A little girl sitting in the front row leaned forward, eyes wide, whispering the words as Emma sang them. Emma's heart skipped. The girl knew the song. And then, like a spark leaping from one soul to another, Emma noticed someone else in the middle row mouthing the lyrics too. Then another. And another. She realized they weren't just listening, they were joining. By the second chorus, voices began to rise from the crowd. Soft at first, hesitant. Emma blinked against tears as more people sang along. Their voices filled the gaps where hers shook, lifting her higher. She wasn't alone anymore. Her guitar strummed louder, her voice soared braver. She poured her whole being into the final verse, and when the chorus came around again, this time the audience didn't just sing with her. They carried her. Hundreds of strangers, united by a song they hadn't known they needed. The walls of the theater seemed to tremble. Emma stepped back from the mic, and the crowd kept singing, their voices echoing through the hall. She closed her eyes and listened. It was the sound of belonging. Of people healing together. Of something bigger than any one person. For the first time in her life, Emma felt seen. Truly seen. When the song ended, silence filled the room, heavy and sacred. Then came the applause, thunderous, not for a headliner, not for a star, but for the girl who had dared to share her heart. But the story didn't end there. After the show, as Emma packed up her guitar, people began to approach her. The little girl from the front row came running with her mother. "That's my song," she said breathlessly. "I listen to it every night before bed. It makes me not scared of the dark anymore." Her mother's eyes welled. She lost her dad last year. "Your music, it's been her comfort." "Thank you." Emma's throat tightened. She knelt, hugging the girl gently. She had never imagined her words could reach someone like this. A man in a worn jacket came next. He looked rough, tired. He pressed something into Emma's hand, a folded note. "I was ready to give up tonight," he whispered. "Then you sang. That song, it reminded me that maybe tomorrow is worth trying for." Emma unfolded the note later in her hotel room. It simply read, "You saved me tonight." She wept. It wasn't the applause or the recognition that mattered, it was these moments. The realization that her voice wasn't just hers anymore. It belonged to the people who needed it, who carried it, who found hope in it. And so Emma kept singing. She sang at bigger shows, yes, but she also sang in hospitals, where patients found courage in her lyrics. She sang in shelters, where people without homes still found belonging in a song. She sang at schools, where shy children raised their voices for the first time. Years later, standing on a massive stage before thousands, Emma strummed that same song again. And as she reached the chorus, she did something she'd done ever since that first night, she pulled the microphone away. And once again, the audience sang with her. Different faces, different stories, but the same magic, the moment when the crowd became part of her voice. That was when she understood, music wasn't about performing. It was about connection. It was about reminding people they weren't alone. The girl who once felt invisible had become the echo of countless hearts, stitched together through song. And in that unity, in that harmony, Emma finally discovered what her mother had meant all those years ago. Sing like the world needs your song. Because it does.